Welcome to another episode here on System Stack. This is episode 3. In our first episode, we had Augusta Osifo. We're talking about overcoming burnout. She's a therapist out of Nigeria and a doctoral student. She discussed the difference between exhaustion and burnout. And last week, we had Gillian Bell, a psychotherapist out of Florida, and she talked about the signs of burnout. If you missed any of those episodes, I'd encourage you to go back, give it a listen, and see what one thing you can do to implement in your life to prevent or to overcome burnout. I'm Dr. McBean, and welcome to System Stack, where we talk about all things system. In today's episode, we're going to look at burnout from a founder's perspective. So, if you're the one holding your business together, every decision, every strategy, every launch is your responsibility, you will perhaps experience burnout if you don't decide to do things differently. Today, I was talking with a friend of mine, and she's preparing for an event this coming month. And she says she could not shut her brain off. Even when she was getting ready for bed and easing her way into a good night's rest, her brain was still working. She had to tell herself, go to bed. Now, if you're a founder, I'm certain that you know what this feels like. Now, fortunately for me, before I started my business, I was a classroom teacher and I had a system for every part of my day. And I used that habit and that structure in my business to reduce overwhelm and to prevent burnout. So, today, let's talk about burnout from the lens of running and operating your own business. What exactly would burnout look like for a founder? What would burnout actually be? Now, you've heard the word burnout so many times that it might seem like just another buzzword, but founder burnout is not about being tired. It's not about having a bad week. It's not even about stress. Stress comes with the territory. Burnout, specifically for founders, is what happens when you've been running on empty for a long time, so long that your mind and your body and your creativity starts shutting down without your permission. And that's what it looks like different from regular work fatigue. When you're an employee and you're exhausted, you can clock out, you can go home. If you're a teacher, you're taking work home, perhaps. But someone else picks up the slack, but that's not so when you're a founder. If you're a founder, there's no clocking out. There is no one else to pick up the slack. You are the business, or at least that's how it feels. And that feeling, that weight of being everything to everyone in your organization, that is the breeding ground for burnout. Now, think about a phone battery. You use it all day. You make calls, you check emails, you run apps. And what if you never plug it in? Last week, our therapist talked about recharging. What if you never give it a chance to recharge? Eventually, it powers off. It doesn't ask you, it doesn't negotiate, it just stops. And that's your body, that's your mind. And for a founder, that burnout, that shutdown can look more than just needing a nap. So let's get specific and look at some signs of burnout for founders. And let's face it, there isn't a dramatic announcement, hey, burnout, I'm here. It usually sneaks in. And by the time you notice it, you've been living with it for a while. So here's one sign. You're busy, but nothing's moving. Do you remember that excitement you feel when You are working on a new initiative, and it doesn't matter how hard it is or how long it takes. You operate in flow because you're excited, you're energized. Well, a founder who is burnt out is simply checking things off a list without really progressing. You're in your inbox, you're responding, you're posting, you're meeting, you're spinning, you're filling time because that's all you have energy for. You're not progressing, you're not diving deeper into your business, you're not expanding, you're just spinning, filling time because that's all you have capacity for. It also looks like decisions feeling impossible. You just can't deal right now. You just can't. You even feel as if you want to stop this train and get off. You don't want to build anymore. You don't want to continue. You might want to simply even close your firm. You don't want to build your firm anymore. The things that used to feel simple, like a caption for a post, a response to a client, what to prioritize today, it now feels huge. And you start second guessing. You start procrastinating. And not because you're lazy, but because your brain is already at capacity. Because as founders, we make so many decisions every day. And decision fatigue is real. Just ask a teacher. So decision fatigue hits founders hard because we make hundreds of micro decisions every single day. For me, I have a systems run company. Have you heard the saying that the chain is as strong as its weakest link? Well, founders rise and fall to the level of their systems. And systems take the guesswork out of the business. It creates the framework by which you operate, and it allows you to inject some fun into your work. And it allows you to determine how you do your work. All the heavy lifting is done by the system so that you can flow in your business. Isn't that great? So we have the feelings of spinning, and we have the thoughts of how do we recharge. There's also a lot of mental creativity that comes with being a founder. And another sign of burnout for founders is that you stop dreaming. You stop daydreaming. You stop thinking through what your business could possibly be, what it could possibly become. Do you remember when you first got started and the vision you had and the ideas were spilling out of you and you couldn't sleep because you're excited, not because you're frustrated, but you're excited. And the excitement kept you up late hours planning and strategizing and creating. And now that excitement is kind of replaced with dread, dread of feeling stuck, being uninterested, feeling disappointed, changes that are occurring that you can't seem to get a handle on, not being sure where to go or if you should even go any further. That's your body sending signals of burnout. It might even come in the form of headaches, tension in your shoulders, getting more sick than usual, not sleeping well or sleeping too much. Those are signs that your body feels and is telling you, even when your mind is trying to ignore it. So I want to pause here to share what happens when my body feels this kind of strain. It happens when I'm already operating at capacity and I cannot do one more thing, and then someone tries to give me something else to do. Because I wear many hats. I'm not only a founder, but a wife, a mom, a co-pastor. I'm building systems and supporting other businesses and my friends, my family. But when you're operating at capacity and someone gives you one more thing, if I should say yes, burnout would start setting in. So when a founder is already operating at capacity and you're constantly in this state, burnout will come knocking at your door. Do you remember the definition last week of burnout that Gillen told us? It's being in that constant state of stress. This might look like pulling away from other people that you love, not physically, but mentally. When burnout sets in, we often withdraw. We're physically present, but mentally elsewhere. We're in our inbox. We're already thinking about tomorrow's to-do list. We're canceling our date night plans. This is a signal of burnout. And I can tell you why founders are especially vulnerable to burnout because the buck stops at them. I don't think we talk about it enough. So, if you're building a business in a culture that says hustle is holy, that if you're not grinding, you're falling behind. But I am not about that life. Even the sound of the word hustle has a negative connotation. Not to mention grind. Like, why? Why? Why would I want that for myself? Um, so here we are, hearing that rest is not for us. It's for people who don't want it badly enough. Or worst, I've heard, I'll rest when I'm dead. Oh, no, no, sorry, Bob. Mm-mm. And that's why founders are specifically at risk because we've bought into that hustle and grind culture. But here is truth. Here's the truth. And it comes out of the book of Isaiah. It says, in quietness and confidence is your strength. And true strength comes from resting in God. And I believe it's verse 15. I'll put it in the show notes. I'm not sure if it's Isaiah. Well, it says the last part of it, the verse says, you would have none of it. Can you believe that? In quietness and confidence is your strength, but you would have none of it. So we know what to do, and then we make a different choice. We put ourselves at risk for burnout because of the manner in which we do things. As founders, we're driven, we push past our limits, we're the visionaries. We can always see what is left to do and what more needs to be done. We also care deeply, and we can't simply just let things go. We think things through and we create solutions for the problems we see. And these aren't weaknesses, it's what makes us who we are. These are the things that got you this far. But without a system, without intentional structure built around the rhythm of rest about how you work, then those same strengths will tear you down. So let me just say that again. Without a system, your strengths will tear you down. It will wear you down. So let's close out with one thing that you can do today to keep moving forward without burnout. How to prevent and overcome burnout. Here's one thing. Define where your day ends. Where does your day end? Do you do a different kind of work later in the day? Where does your day really end? Find a hard stop, an actual time that is a hard stop. So not a task that's a hard stop. I'll end when I'm done with this email. No, it's an actual time, a signal to your brain that your day is done. And that's a system. A consistent end of day ritual is a system. So if you're a founder If you are the one holding your business together, you do not have to stay in a place of burnout. You do not have to experience burnout. Build the structures that protect you. See you next week.